1,100 former attorneys of the Justice Department, my alma mater, once proud alma mater, have called for the resignation and or impeachment of Attorney General William Barr. Let me make it 1,101, and I'm not talking about Dalmatians either. Our Attorney General is no better than the prior one, Jeff Sessions. He's taken a dive on the indictment of James Comey, on Andrew McCabe, on John Brennan, on James Clapper, on the Bidens, including the son, Hunter, the half-wit son, the Clinton Foundation, the Obama NSA, CIA. I can go on and on and on. There's not enough time in this podcast to tell you how many dives I'm talking about as in a prize fight, because that's what we are. We're in a fight right now. We're in a revolution. We're in a war with the left. And there is no justice coming out of our Justice Department. I've called it the Department of Injustice in my book, Whores, Why and How I Came to Fight the Establishment. I might write a sequel and call it The Whores Are Back, because they clearly are. And there is absolutely no justice out of the Justice Department. That's why Freedom Watch does what it does. That's why I do what I used to do at Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch mainly just gets documents today and then asks the government to do the job of we the people. That's because Tom Fitton is not a lawyer, so they don't do complex litigation, but we do, and we do the citizens' grand juries. But that notwithstanding, we need a Justice Department. They have considerable powers. They're not being used. They have greater powers than anyone else in this country, other than the intel state, the deep state. On top of all the dives that William Barr has taken, there's the Bundys. Cliven Bundy, his son Ryan Bundy, Ammon Bundy, Mel Bundy, Dave Bundy, and a number of other peaceful protesters who were indicted simply for exercising their First Amendment rights when the goons of Harry Reid at the Bureau of Land Management and the Obama Justice Department and FBI set up an entrapment for the Bundys to drive them off the land so that land could be sold by Dirty Harry Reid under the table to Chinese environmental interests. That's what was reported. Now, Harry Reid's from Las Vegas. If you don't think he has mafia connections, you live on another planet. Well, the Bundys stood up to that peacefully and legally. They weren't armed, but yet the government ultimately charged them with threatening federal officers and obstruction of justice. 17 counts. You got 10 more counts than Roger Stone was indicted for, and they didn't do anything wrong. Roger Stone did, and I'll tell you about that. But what happened after the indictment of the Bundys and the other defendants was dismissed by an Obama-appointed judge, no less, a judge that was actually recommended to the bench by Harry Reid, Gloria Navarro. She hated Cliven's guts. She threw him in solitary confinement. She denied him right of counsel. Me, I played a consultant role during that case. I had other lawsuits for Cliven. They're still going on to clear the land owned by the people of Nevada, not the government of the United States, to use the term loosely. Other cases now for malicious prosecution for what went on. But Gloria Navarro, the judge, was forced to dismiss the complaint because the prosecutors had lied. Exculpatory evidence, that's evidence which would tend to be able to acquit the Bundys, was hidden. And a whistleblower came forward by the name of Larry Wooten, a BLM supervisor, who was prepared to testify that there was a kill list on the heads of the Bundys, if you can believe that. Also disparaging their Mormon faith, calling them retards, subhuman, that kind of thing. Unbelievable. But the indictment was dismissed. Now, what happened after that? The Trump Justice Department, which Barr should have been in charge of course, first it was Sessions, then it was Barr, allowed the U.S. attorney in Nevada, the same U.S. attorney that lied to the court, that hid evidence. Frankly, all of them should be disbarred. They should be prosecuted. They should be put away for life because Cliven Bundy and his sons and the others could have done life imprisonment. What could be worse than bearing false witness? That's one of the top 10 commandments. They took an appeal, the U.S. attorney there, and Sessions and Barr in Washington, D.C. did nothing about it. Just let them do it. That appeal is going through the courts now. We're going to have an oral argument on the 23rd of March, 2020 in Las Vegas at the Ninth Circuit. You're invited to attend if you can. Support the Bundys. And go to clivenbundydefensefund.org. That's clivenbundydefensefund.org, because this is expensive, and please contribute to that defense fund. Because Cliven Bundy stands in the stead for you. So do his sons. Yesterday it was Cliven Bundy, and in fact today it's Cliven Bundy. Tomorrow it could be you and your loved ones, this heavy-handed government. Now, what's interesting here is that this occurred during the Trump administration. Where is President Trump? Someone needs to get his attention. He should order Barr to drop that appeal, because if the Bundys don't win, they'll go back to trial. They could face life imprisonment, if you can believe that. Yet the president's spending his time tweeting about Roger Stone, a former confidant, someone who is not worth the support. I know all about Roger Stone. I've known him for many years. He was even my campaign manager for a while when I ran for the US Senate. He brought in all of his miscreant staff that misappropriated equipment that I paid for in my own funds. That association ended quickly. I'd previously represented him when he was caught at a toga party by the media, and I got them off his back. These are the kinds of things that need to be understood, because you're getting a lot of misinformation now. You know, there's even the conservative media, there are elements of the fake news conservative media. Sean Hannity, talking about Tucker Carlson's Stone's friend. Here's the reality. He's no victim. He was tried. He was convicted of 7 counts, 5 counts of perjury, 1 count of witness tampering, and 1 count of obstruction of justice. Even if the others weren't prosecuted that I just mentioned, that does not mean that one should look the other way. You can't come into court and lie. You can't intimidate witnesses. In fact, he did it to Jerry Corsi. And then on top of it, he defamed Corsi and me because he feared that Corsi was going to testify against him in the prosecution. And that's not right. And you can't allow that to happen. But here's the hard fact that no one wants to see. And see, this is the fake news media. It's not just from the left, it's from the right. Some people on the right. Is that Stone did not present one witness. Hear that? One witness at his trial. Not one. No documentation other than what the government had obtained. He was convicted in his own words, in emails, in texts, and other communications. His lawyers didn't move for change of venue, so all this complaining about the jury, what did they do? Yes, the jury's biased in the District of Columbia. That goes without saying. 90% vote for Obama or Clinton. But he didn't have lawyers that did their job, and now they're stuck. But the president comes in and tweets and says, well, the 7 to 9 years that are recommended for prison is too long. I actually agree with that. But at that point, President Trump, I love you. Stay away. Don't stick your foot in it again. You already have with this Ukraine scandal. You didn't need to be impeached. You could have gotten Barr to do his job and investigate the criminals, the Bidens. So here's the lesson for today. Number 1, we need a Justice Department that functions. Number 2, you need a Freedom Watch because we have no Justice Department. So go to freedomwatchusa.org and contribute to our cause, join our Justice League, and become part of our citizens' grand juries. Number 3, do not believe what you hear, even on Fox News. And of course, they're going left these days. Lachlan Murdoch, the owner and CEO, is a leftist. It's going left. Napolitano, Chris Wallace, Arthel Neville, Juan Williams, the rest of them. That notwithstanding, you can't believe what Tucker Carlson says. He's Stone's good friend. And Hannity, he's not well educated enough to make a reasoned decision. So make up your own mind and put the popcorn and Diet Coke down. Turn Fox News off. Join Freedom Watch at freedomwatchusa.org, our Justice League. We need to restore this country to the vision of our founding fathers. We need to restore justice to our shores. We need equal justice. That does not mean letting Roger Stone go free. He should at least do 18 months to 2 years for lying under oath, convicted of 5 felony counts of perjury, 1 of obstruction of justice, 1 of witness tampering. But these others need to be prosecuted too. So join us at freedomwatchusa.org. Support our citizens' grand juries. We're going to indict, try, and fry legally and peacefully all of them. And then we'll sentence them in a people's court, and we'll ask the president to carry that out. And if he doesn't carry it out peacefully and legally, we will attempt to carry it out ourselves. I want to thank you for listening to this podcast every day. Please share it with your friends. You can find it at radioamerica.com. You can find it at freedomwatchusa.org, at iTunes, at Spotify, at Patreon, at Facebook. Get the word out far and loud because, frankly, most people don't know what they're talking about. We do know what we're talking about at Radio America, and I got to thank Radio America for letting me say what needs to be said. So God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America, and God save America. And I'll be back tomorrow with another podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.